and I probably can't tell you the story as creepy as she told it to me, but she said that one day she went over to this lady's house, and there was an abandoned house next door to the lady. Now this is in Rochester, New York. He's familiar with Rochester. There's an abandoned house next door, and this lady, she has this gift where she can see spirits and things like that. And so she said she looked out the window and saw the spirit kind of step from the other world into our world, and he like stepped out of the house, and you know, she saw him, and then he just looked at her and then walked down the street. And then like the next day it was reported that there was like a slew of killings all on the street. You know, it was just like really creepy. And like, and me, I'm like one of the people, when you tell me a story, I visualize it. So like that whole night, that was just going through my mind, this idea of this guy like stepping out, you know. So yeah, this stuff is kind of creepy. So, I talked to those type of people. I did a lot of research on, and it's amazing how easily you can find this stuff, but I did a lot of research on spells, and one thing in this book, I never really say if it's hoodoo, voodoo, or what it is, because there's so many different types of things that people get involved in, and I really didn't want to pick on one particular, you know, group or, you know, practice that people do. I just really wanted to kind of bring it, well, what if you have this amateur type of person who just decides, hey, I'm going to try some things to see if I can get this man to love me. So this is the scene where she decides, Tracy decides, and people really feel bad about Tracy. She was the bad guy. And I will say, in this book, there is no good guys in this book. Meaning that, I'm not saying that they're not good people, but all the characters are very flawed. So, you know, some people, like my other books, you know, the characters are a little bit more likable. This, everybody has an issue in these books. If you like people, you know, these are the type of books that you're like mad at everybody. Like, for real? You just gonna do that, huh? Use a Ouija board to get in contact with this man's dead parents. So, and she's getting help from this lady named Jenna. And the agreement was that she would pay Jenna, I think it was $1,000 to do this. So she calls Jenna up and says, hey, I have the money, you know, meet me. And Jenna says, okay, well, meet me at Magic Kingdom. And Magic Kingdom is this store where they go and they get all their, you know, products and whatnot. Tracy pulled up to Magic Kingdom at 10 minutes to 2. Turning off the engine, she sat in her car with the volume cranked up, listening to Bust Your Windows by Jasmine Sullivan. Now, I will say this book is, I have a lot of music in this book, and music is a character in this book, to a point where in the back of the book, there's actually a playlist for the characters, because the idea came from listening to a song. I thought it would be cool to really let music kind of fuel their decisions. Tracy closed her eyes and sung the song with all of her might, understanding why a woman would want to destroy a man's property after he broke her heart. She couldn't imagine what she would ever do if she saw Walter in bed with another woman, even if the other woman was his wife. She tried not to think about whether or not they were being intimate. In her mind, she convinced herself that Walter's love for her and the spells were enough to keep him from touching Donna. Merely pondering the idea of Walter and Donna together made Tracy burn with anger, singing the song even louder and with more passion. Knock, knock, knock. Tracy jumped at the sound of someone knocking on her car window. She had been too busy singing with her eyes closed to hear anyone approach the vehicle. It was Jenna. Tracy turned down the volume and rolled down the window, still feeling a bit shaken. I didn't see you pull up. I noticed. You were too busy auditioning for American Idol, Jenna said, letting out a raspy cackle. Tracy didn't smile. Very funny. Do you have the money? I could only get half of it, Tracy said. $500. Jenna took a step back from the car. I told you not to call me until you had the full amount. Tracy sucked her teeth. Listen, I'm not going to wait any longer. Either you accept the money or I find someone else to do it. I'm sure there's others who would love to make a quick $500 in cash. Jenna twisted her lips, more than likely annoyed. Fine, follow me. 25 minutes later, they arrived at what appeared to be an old condemned house. The front yard reminded Tracy of a field. Overgrown grass and weeds brushed the skin of her calves as they made their way to the side door of the house. Where are we? Tracy asked, staying close to Jenna, afraid some animal or supernatural creature would jump out of the grass and strike her. This is where I practice. In an abandoned house? Did you want to do it at your house? Tracy shook her head. I didn't think so, Jenna said, opening the side door. When you deal with spirits, it's best to do it somewhere you have nothing to lose. Some of these spirits can get testy and make quite a mess, knocking things over and throwing furniture around. Here we don't have to worry about cleaning up when we're done. You understand? Yeah. Although the house looked abandoned from the outside, the inside was fairly well kept up. It was apparent that Jenna came there often because the place was free from dust, spider webs, and other indicators of a house that had not been lived in for a while. Of course, electricity was off, but Jenna lit several candles that were placed throughout the house, giving them ample light to see. Jenna led Tracy into the house's living room and grabbed 2 chairs, positioning them to face each other. She told Tracy to sit down in one of the chairs as she removed a wooden Ouija board from a large table nearby. "Please give me the money and the items you brought," Jenna said. Tracy pulled the money, ring, and picture out from her purse and passed them to Jenna, who stuffed the money in her bra, then sat across from Tracy. "Let your knees touch mine." Now, breaking the scene a little bit, I'm giving you a little bit of story, but Tracy has to find some stuff that belongs to Walter's parents, so she breaks into their house. And steals some money and a ring and a picture.
Money to pay for the...
Yeah. Just so you'll know where that came from. When their knees were touching, Jenna placed the Ouija board on top of their laps, with the letters and numbers appearing upside down to Tracy. Jenna then placed the photograph and ring on the left side of the board and laid the pamphlet on the letter G. "What's the name of the spirit you're seeking?" she asked Tracy. "I don't know their full names. Mr. and Mrs. Goodman is all that I know." Jenna placed her hands lightly on the pamphlet and instructed Tracy to do the same. "We welcome the spirit of Mr. and Mrs. Goodman. Only positive energy is allowed," Jenna said with her eyes closed. She then looked at Tracy and said, "We're going to move the pamphlet in circles around the board to warm it up. Do not force it, very gently." They moved the pointer slowly in circles for a few minutes. Then suddenly the pamphlet began to move on its own. Tracy looked up at Jenna in shock. Jenna began asking the spirits questions. "Are you Mr. and Mrs. Goodman?" The pointer moved to the word yes. "Are you a male or female?" Female. "Are you Mrs. Goodman?" "Yes." Jenna looked at Tracy and asked, "What do you want to know?" "I don't know. Does she have a son named Walter?" "Do you have a son named Walter?" Jenna asked. "Yes." "Ask her what I can do to make him love me." "What? That's not a question you ask a spirit," Jenna said. "I paid you $500. Ask her," Tracy demanded. Jenna sighed. What could Tracy do to make Walter love her? The pamphlet didn't move. "See," Jenna said. Jenna cut her eyes at Tracy. "What can Tracy do?" "Ask again," Tracy instructed. Jenna cut her eyes at Tracy. "What can Tracy do to make Walter love her?" The pamphlet began to move quickly, flying over letters. Jenna spelled the letters out loud. SELLYURKILLHISSWIFE. The pointer stopped at the letter E. "What did that spell?" Tracy asked anxiously. Jenna looked nervous. Instead of answering Tracy's question, she moved the pamphlet to the word goodbye and said, "We're leaving now. Rest in peace." She removed her fingers from the pointer and told Tracy to do the same, closing the board. "What did it say?" Tracy asked again as Jenna removed the items from the board, passed Tracy the photo and ring, and put the board away. "Tracy, you cannot believe everything the board says. We don't even know that if it was really Mrs. Goodman's spirit. Just let it go." "No, I paid and I want to know. What did it spell out?" Tracy persisted. It said, "Sell your soul, kill his wife," Jenna answered, then blew the candle closest to her out. So, yeah, I didn't know anything about Ouija boards before I researched that, and I actually got spooked because I printed all this stuff out about Ouija boards and things like that. And so I'm typing, and I'm looking at the printout, I'm typing, and I'm seeing all this stuff in my head, and it really creeped me out, and I got scared, and I had to stop. This stuff is really getting to me.